So constructors, okay. So constructor, the structure of constructor is similar to that of a function. However, it doesn't have a return type, and the name of the constructor will be similar to the name of the class, and it is just like a block of code only. So at time of calling constructor, memory for the object is allocated in the memory. Okay, so it is a kind of special method which initializes the object. So every time an object is created using the new keyword, at least one constructor is called. You will understand why it is at least one constructor in some time. So a default constructor is called if there is no constructor created by the programmer. So Java compiler will provide a default constructor by default. So there are two types of constructors in Java. Like there will be no parameters or there will be parameters. It is called constructor because it constructs the values at the time of object creation. So it's called a constructor because it constructs or initializes the values at the time of object creation. However, it's not necessary that you write a constructor for a class because Java compiler will provide a default constructor if you haven't written one for it. So how is this constructor written for Java? Okay, so there are few rules regarding it. First thing is, as I told you before, the name of the constructor will be same as that of the class, and it does not have a return type. And you have to remember this, that it cannot be abstract, static, final and synchronized. We will understand slowly why it can't be so. However, we can give few keywords. We can write few keywords before a constructor like private, protected, public or default constructor in Java. So as we have discussed just a while back, there are two types of constructor. One that will have no argument and the other that will have arguments. The one that has arguments is called a parameterized constructor. So Java provides a default constructor if you haven't created one, if you haven't written one. Okay, the default constructor is one which does not have any parameter. Okay, what is the syntax for it? Its syntax is class name, then without space, bracket start, bracket close, parenthesis start, parenthesis close. Within the parenthesis you can write anything. However, there won't be any parameter passed through it. Then say we have a class named student. So class student, and within that suppose we want to create a constructor, default one. So we can do that by writing student, bracket start, bracket end. Within parenthesis you can write system.out.println, bracket start, class student is created, bracket end, parenthesis end. Okay. So what will happen when you will create a new object of student class by using new keyword? So what message we had passed through the constructor to be print out, that was class student has been created. So as soon as you will create a new object of student class, the output will be student class has been created. Okay, because the println statement has been written within the constructor, and constructor is the first thing that gets executed once you run a program, Java program. Okay, if there is no constructor in a class, compiler will create a default constructor. Okay, so what is the purpose, why at all we require a default constructor? So it will provide some default values to object like 0, null, etc., which will depend upon the type of the which will depend upon the data type. We had discussed regarding what will be the initial value of a particular data type previously. So that initial value, that default value, will be assigned by the constructor to the primitive data type at okay. 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 So if you want to test it, we can write a small program. Okay, that is uh, which runs like this. So it is a class student. We are creating a new class student. So it suppose it has two instance variables, that is int space id and string space name. So id is the roll number or identity number, something like that, of the student, and name is the name, and it is of type string. And suppose we create a class with, suppose we create a method named display within the class student, say void space display without any parameters, input parameters, and we just start the parenthesis and start writing system.out.println bracket start id append operator double quotes with a space between them, then append character, then name bracket start semicolon parenthesis end. What will happen is that, so when we try to invoke this display function by creating a object of student class, say ram, so student space ram equal within the void main, ram equals to a new keyword space student bracket start bracket close semicolon, and we invoke the function display. Say we write ram dot display bracket start bracket close semicolon. So what will be the output? The output will be, first we are trying to output the roll number or the id, and then we are trying to output the name. So what is the default value for integer? It is 0. And what is the default value for string? It is null. So that will get printed. So a default constructor has been created, and the default values, that is 0 and null, are provided by the default constructor. So now, till now the video is really long now. It's of 8 minutes. So there is another topic called parameterized constructor as well. Then there is constructor overloading. Then I need to give you few examples also. Then what is the difference between function and a constructor, copy constructor, and without using constructor how you can copy values. So this will also take like 3 to 4 videos. So where was I was in default constructor. Okay, so I will be teaching the rest of the topics related to constructor in few videos. That's all for now. Thank you.